No, you look shinier than you usually do. Did you do something?
Yeah, it's called using too much fucking bronzer. So anyway, that's good. They're gonna already have to make some edits at the start of the show.
No, leave
I'm
it
trying
in.
to figure out why I don't like the way this mic is.
People like mistakes. I would leave it in. No, they do.
They like mistakes.
Yeah, they like it when you make a mistake. And then you seem normal. Like you seem like a normal person if you fuck up, because everyone makes mistakes.
Probably.
That makes you more
true.
relatable. You're not relatable the way you are now.
I'm not. I think I'm very relatable, actually.
Oh no.
How am I not?
You were sitting like on the sidelines at the game on Monday. You're not relatable. You're not relatable to the normal person. No.
It was really funny. There was a prominent guy from Monday Night Football that was there, and everybody in the stands was trying to get his attention. And I texted him. I was like, "Hey, can you turn around real quick?" Yeah. And everybody around me was like, "What the fuck, Kelly?" And I go, "Sorry,
you're not
he's in the
relatable
football league. It's not like we're like buddies. He's in my league, so I have his phone number."
You're not a relatable person. Do you want to say who it is?
I am very relatable. I grind games out with the best of them. I want to break my TV. I get angry at 19-year-old kids who can't make field goals. I'm so relatable.
No, TVs aren't that expensive anymore.
No, they really aren't.
You know what is expensive? Your Southwest gas bill if you live in Nevada. Jesus Christ. All right.
I miss having gas. I'll say that. In Florida, where I'm at, we only have electric, and I really miss my gas stove. That's all I'm going to say.
Let's do. All right. I wrote down a bunch of talking points. Kelly Shiny. We already did that one.
Okay, wait. There's 2 talking points that I wanted to bring up because I never do the rundown. One, do you think they set the woman in Tampa Bay up for failure?
Looking forward towards Detroit. The weather has been a factor in some of the playoff games, even for the most prepared teams. Today, it's 13 in Detroit, which doesn't compare to some of the temperatures we tend to drop to. Any special plans to acclimate the team to not only endure, but perform in those kind of frigid temperatures should you face them in Detroit?
You do know we play indoors, right? And they got a dome. No, nothing planned. We're indoors, and we only have to be outside for 20 seconds getting off the bus, going under the thing, so we'll be okay.
I've been arguing with people about this all day.
What do you mean?
So it came out that she works for, I'm going to hate this mic this entire show. Came out that she works for Tampa Bay ABC, right?
Okay.
And she obviously, what are we seeing right now in this industry? We are seeing lots of people getting laid off in the sports world, particularly the sports gambling world. So I'm guessing they're having other people fill in certain departments, right? So if they put me, let's just say they took me, here's sports girl Kelly, and they said, hey, guess what? You're going to go do the weather. And now I had to not read a teleprompter. That's what I'm probably used to. I'm guessing she's used to reading a teleprompter and going over notes and stuff with a producer. All I'm saying is this woman's not a sports woman. And I'm not sure why they sent her there, but it's proof that we set people up for failure for no apparent reason other than what they wanted a woman there. They wanted what was the.
Let me ask you this: so she could ask any question, right? She could ask whatever she wants about the game. She decided, I'm going to ask about the weather. If you've decided I'm going to go with a weather question, shouldn't you check to see if it's an indoor stadium? If you're going down the path of weather, I would at least take a peek.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Okay.
But I'm wondering if it was like a last minute fill in. I'm wondering if there was like something else there, or because the women so I went to breakfast with some women this morning after Pilates, and they were talking about the weather in Buffalo, and they know nothing about football. Nothing.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the weather over the weekend. And then I asked them, I said, hey, what do you guys think of this? And they said, she sounds like an idiot. And I'm like, but did we set her up for failure because she's not a sports girl? I don't know. All I think is I like to play devil's advocate a lot. And I think somebody did her a serious injustice. It reminds me of, do you remember a few years ago, the bilingual guy on Monday Night Football whose English clearly was not his first language?
Yeah.
Beth, Coach, it's a pleasure to be with you guys here on the field from up close, just watching Coach Vance Joseph. From here, you watch him now on the screen. This diversity in his background is helping him a lot tonight. Quarterback at Colorado, defensive back in the NFL, and here he is having the time of his life.
Yeah, and we've never heard from him since. Where's he at?
That guy had a lot of energy. What's wrong? I like high energy people. I would hire that guy. I like people that
I didn't
bring
say he's not a great
energy.
guy, but somebody set his ass up for failure, and I think that that's a problem.
Okay, I don't disagree. That was your. That you said you had 2 talking points.
Well, I wanted
What
to
was
know
the
what
other
you
one?
thought. And then the other one is absolutely hilarious. It's going viral right now on all
Lost
sorts of
Kelly.
different things. So from an Alabama message board, there is a guy called Saban Country, and he is claiming that we should be giving, Alabama fans should be giving 10% pre-tax like you would to the church to the NIL collective to save Alabama football. Nick Saban hasn't even been gone in a week, and these people are in full-on panic mode.
Well, I did see the one guy that really stood out to me in the Rose Bowl was Caleb Downs, the freshman All-American safety, defensive back. And I saw he entered the transfer portal, and I thought to myself, like, wow, that is not good. I mean, to have a player of that caliber transferring out of Alabama.
Because someone is paying.
Oh, I understand. But wow.
John Murray, we had a kid bought and paid for off our football team. That was exactly what was text to me. Don't feel sorry for him. He was bought and paid for.
So you're probably the most prominent Kansas State alum.
You say this all the time, and I'm not.
Do
Definitely
you think
not.
that are you
I think
donating?
Chris Galley went to K-State.
Are you donating at all?
And Eric Stone Street went to K-State.
I know who
So
that
I'm
is.
definitely not. There's like famous actors that went to Kansas State.
But are you donating to the NIL for the Wildcats?
So I am doing, I didn't do the
money.
top tier because, I lost my job. I didn't do the top tier this year. I did do the middle tier. It's called the gold. So I've been working with the Wildcat Den, which is one of the NIL collectives at K-State. There's, I think, 3 of them. I don't care which one you donate to, but yes, I think it's very important that you shell out a couple bucks, especially when I'm winning a little bit of money on this team, outright underdog winner on Monday night over Baylor. That was nice.
Yeah,
Tuesday
that was
night?
good.
Tuesday night.
And
Baylor? I don't even know what day it is anymore.
I think that was on Tuesday night because I was out.
Tuesday.
I have notes here about wanting to talk to you about college basketball, but I was going to blow through these ref things first. So
we have ref things to talk about.
What the hell are the Dallas Cowboys doing? They're
Keeping Mike McCarthy.
Because did you want to talk?
Who else are they going to get that's better? This is always your argument. Who would they go get that's better? Bill Belichick. He's going to go to the
Mike McCarthy.
He's going to go to the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay.
Who else are they going to? Who else is an option?
Well, the hot
Cliff
name.
Kingsbury is going to go be the offensive coordinator at the Bears.
The Lions offensive Cliff Kingsbury. The Lions offensive coordinator.
That's what I mean. You don't want Cliff Kingsbury to be your head coach.
What about the offensive coordinator for Detroit? He's a hot name.
I didn't say that's the thing. You have to realize the Dallas Cowboys are a completely different type of organization than most of the NFL teams, right? Jerry Jones wants a person there that he can control. He wants a yes man. Mike McCarthy is going to do everything that he says.
But it's somebody's job.
He got them to the playoffs.
If your argument is there's no obvious option, which is fine, it's somebody's job to go find the next D'Amico Ryans. That's your job. Like, who is going to be the next great? Like Shane Steichen, the Colts coach. That guy's really good. It's
for the first year.
It's somebody's
D'Amico
job.
Ryans looked really good for 1 year.
Yeah, I know. So those guys are good coaches, though. So it's somebody's job to go find the next one of those guys.
So you're saying that Jerry Jones should go poach one of these young and up-and-coming coaches who just turned around another program?
No. I'm saying it's the job of somebody in the organization to find the next Shane Steichen, the next D'Amico Ryans. There's some coordinator out there that's going to be a good NFL head coach.
Yeah, and good luck. What are we going to do? Just do
that's
this?
Their job.
Okay. Listen, he's doing better than Jason Garrett.
Oh wow, that's a high bar.
But that's my whole point.
I don't know what your point is. Where do you think
they're not going to go get somebody that's better? The Dallas Cowboys have more money than God, and they're not going to be able to go find somebody that's better. They're gonna fire their head coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these guys are already looking at other places, or else they're still in the playoffs. Not everybody needs to be a head coach, Sean Murray. That's the problem.
That's a loser attitude. You should try to be a head coach.
I know some very, very successful coordinators who never wanted to be head coaches because they were so good at their position. And every single time I feel like somebody gets forced into doing something they maybe shouldn't have done, they fall flat on their face. Like Cliff Kingsbury should still be coaching college football. I mean, he is technically, he's an advisor or whatever for Lincoln Riley, but he's going to go back to the NFL. And I'm like, no, go coach at like, I don't know, somewhere awesome. Like he could have went and coached at Alabama. Why wasn't his name in the hat for Alabama?
Has to be an Alabama head coach?
I don't know.
What?
You'd rather be an NFL head coach?
No. Well, actually, yeah,
Exactly.
I think I would. I think I would now in the NIL era. So that.
Well, okay, that's probably going to be. That's a very good point. It is going to be an interesting few years.
I think I'm going to make a prediction right now. I think Jimmy Harbaugh stays in Ann Arbor, and it'd be funny if I'm wrong. I'd like this to be clipped out and like when you're really confident and you say something and then you're wrong. I'm going to make a really bold, confident proclamation that Jim Harbaugh is going to stay in Ann Arbor, and I'd like it.
Okay, why?
I just don't think he's going to go to the NFL. I don't.
Well, where's he going to go? The Chargers, and that's pretty much it.
What's so appealing about the Chargers job?
Warm weather, not being in Michigan.
But
Ann Arbor looks really cold right now.
Isn't that considered one of the worst ownership groups in the league?
Probably up for debate, yes.
I mean, I think Atlanta makes more sense because the Arthur Blank.
Belichick's going there.
Is that official?
It's as official as the text I got 4 hours ago, and then I called the unit and was like, yo, can you open up your BetMGM account and hammer this plus 140? And he goes, it's gone. I'm like, yeah, I figured it would be.
Oh, that sounds very illegal.
Did not actually. It's not illegal to share privy information with the unit so he can make a couple of bucks because I don't have access to one of those accounts. That's not illegal.
Fair enough. Anyways, I'd like this thing to be clipped out if I'm wrong. It's funny. It's funny when people are really confident and then they're wrong. That's really.
You didn't even sound that confident. You're just like, no, I think John Harbaugh is going to stay in Ann Arbor.
I do think
you're like a 4.5.
Harbaugh's staying. He's staying in Ann Arbor. He's going to be the coach.
A lot of money.
Ohio State is loaded next season, by the way. But Ryan Day is a low energy.
Loaded, yeah. Have you seen their new quarterback, Will Howard? I'm excited for him.
Ryan Day is a low energy man, so I think Harbaugh is going to beat him again.
You think? Why do you think Ryan Day is low energy? Let me hear it because I know one of my good friends is an avid Buckeyes fan, and he also doesn't like Ryan Day. But the argument is, who else are they going to get?
They're Ohio State. That's such a massive program. Couldn't they go out and get somebody big? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who's out there. But that's Ohio State. I don't understand that argument.
Look at the hard time that Washington had. They get like their 5th or 6th choice.
Well, for two things on that. A, Jed Fish is a great coach. And
didn't say he wasn't.
Washington is not Ohio State. They're a good football program. They're not Ohio State.
They sure acted like they were.
Ohio State is a big deal. Ohio State football is a big deal.
There's a lot of money there.
They should be able to go out and get a big coach. Speaking of Ohio State, let's pivot to recapping the wild card games. CJ Stroud, the big star of the first game. We did awesome on that game. So the public was all over Cleveland in the first game. Stroud was awesome. Stroud, he's making throws on the run. He's making throws to covered receivers. He's amazing. Joe Flacco, back-to-back pick sixes.
That was wild.
That was bad. Easy. Not much to say really in that game. Very easy win for us.
It was crazy that there was 2 games with 2 pick sixes this week.
What was the other one?
Dak.
He threw 2 pick sixes?
I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
I mean, I was cooking in the kitchen like a nice woman that I am. But the game was on very close by, and I was watching with Packers fans who were adamant until late in the third quarter they were going to lose that football game.
You were cooking during the playoff game? That doesn't sound like you.
Well, I watched the first game, and then we invited some Packers fans over, and there was some guys outside doing the steaks, and I was inside doing the sides. But it's like the way my kitchen is my living room is my dining room. It's like the open concept.
Do you live in like a 150 square foot apartment in New York? What do you mean?
No, it's like your kitchen island. Like you have your kitchen, right? And all your appliances. Then you have a giant island, and then the TV's over there, and the dining room's to the right.
I got you.
It's
So
perfect for hosting and entertaining. And I will never have a house. It's the same way as my Vegas house was that you never came over for, but it's the same thing.
Let's not go to the Dallas game yet. So you just skipped over 2 games.
Sorry, I just had the realization that there was 2 pick sixes in 2 games.
Great win in the first game. The second game, we really needed to go over. And I kind of felt like it should have gone over. I mean, I know it stayed under by 10 points, but how many times did Kansas City get down into the red zone
and kick a field goal?
And settle for a field goal. And then Miami, other than the one long touchdown to Tyreek Hill, Mike McDaniel, Tua Tagovailoa, those guys looked like they just wanted to get the hell out of there, get on a plane back to Miami, and go sit courtside at the Heat games for the next few months. They had no interest in participating in that game whatsoever. That was a very bad game for us. Chiefs and under was not good. Sunday morning around here was really weird because we were supposed to have the Bills game.
Oh, yeah.
And, the Bills game got moved to Monday due to the weather, so it was just a real quiet morning here. And then the crowd started to fill in time for the Dallas game. And then that game was over pretty quickly. And it was like, are we going to get a decent playoff game at all? I mean, we did awesome on that game.
Yeah, and then you got a really great game that night with the Lions and the Rams.
Did awesome on the Dallas game. Moneyline parlays, teasers, whatever you want to call it. Just crushed on that game. I continue to be wrong about Green Bay, right? I said that last week. I'm so wrong about them. Jordan Love looks great. So I'm not going to pick on Brett. The Packers fans are going to have a good quarterback for another fucking 10 years. I mean, that's bullshit. What about everybody else?
Isn't that crazy?
What about everybody else?
3 in a row. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and now Jordan Love. It sure looks that way.
What a job by that organization.
I remember when they drafted Jordan Love, and everybody's like, what in the are they doing?
They gave up, or they moved on from Brett Favre at the perfect time. And now it looks like they've moved on from Aaron Rodgers at the perfect time. For the same organization to do that twice, it's almost unprecedented. And if you look at the quarterbacks in the NFC, you know what I think of Jalen Hurts. I've made that clear to you. I don't think anything of him.
The guy turned into a pumpkin on Monday night. Actually, he turned into a pumpkin before then, but it was awesome.
Prescott is no good. Brock Purdy is a good player. But, I mean, Jordan Love, he could be the best quarterback in the NFC in a year or two. All the good young quarterbacks are in
That's what's going to get clipped. And either you're going to look like Murray Stradamus or you are going to look like an idiot.
I still believe that Caleb Williams is going to go to the Bears for all the reasons.
Yeah, we know that now because that's why Cliff's going to go be the OC.
Well, whatever. But I'm telling you,
it's dumb.
All the good young quarterbacks are in the AFC. First of all, I'm going back to it. You baited me into it. I'm going to go back to it. It's not dumb. Resetting the quarterback rookie contract is not dumb. Your best chance to be competitive in the NFL is when your quarterback's on a rookie deal. Everyone knows that.
I understand that, but that's clearly not working out well for the Bears.
But Justin
you might
Fields,
want to try a different game plan than shuffling through quarterbacks every couple of years and shuffling through head coaches in between quarterbacks. Like, I don't get it. That's fine. Somebody's going to pay a lot of money for Justin Fields. We're going to see what he's made of behind a better offensive line. I don't care. I just feel like at a certain point in time, you got to get off the hamster wheel. And the Bears fans have been on the hamster wheel since 1986. Dallas
gets destroyed. So I got this in my notes for the Sunday night game. I wrote, the Lions game landed 1. Impossible. That can't be right. That's not right, is it? What was the score?
Yeah, it was 24-23.
You're kidding.
Yeah, I know, John Murray, because I had the over.
Oh, really?
I had the over. There was 38 points at half. I was like,
how could Sean McVay?
I'm going to go to bed.
How could Sean McVay punt there? He punted the ball back to them?
There
What
was
he
there
doing?
was a couple of moments where I was like, Dan Campbell. Remember the guy with the giant balls in the wheelbarrow?
PC
What
principal?
happened to that guy? Because they kind of played not to lose there
Yeah.
late into the fourth quarter, and I was just not impressed with either one of those teams. You're right. Like there were calls on both sides there going, do either of you want to win this football game?
So I got one question about that game because I went home, I watched that game at my house with my Beagle. And my question is, what is the concussion rule in the NFL? Because I saw Matthew Stafford's head
Hit
bounced off
in
the
his
turf.
eyes.
His eyes roll. He looked like a dead person. And then they take him into the tent and they're like, yeah, he's good. And then he actually played pretty well after that. I mean, he made a few throws.
So maybe he didn't have a concussion.
Game landed 1.
Actually, I
Detroit.
think his shoulder was hurt more than anything because that offensive lineman's cleat like planted right in his shoulder.
Yeah. That was a good game, by the way. That was a really good game. I think we'll see what happens this weekend. But to me, Detroit and the Rams are both much better than Tampa Bay and Philadelphia. So that was the better of the two NFC wildcard games. Buffalo wins and covers early on Monday. And your best bet, take your victory lap.
Yay! Actually, so on my planner this week, it always says celebrate wins, and I wrote Bucks. Bucks.
I mean,
Bucks
honestly,
was my nice win to start the week, so I was very happy.
Pick. Great, you absolutely nailed that game. And the Eagles, we really got crushed on in-game in that game because we had customers that kept betting the Buccaneers. Normally, our customers bet on the teams to come back, but in that game,
they bet on the Bucks to keep their foot on the gas
because it looked like Philadelphia had quit, and they had.
Okay, from being live in the stands,
right,
and breaking dry January. So I did break dry January. I was like, all right, we're gonna just take like a 1-day cheat day, and then we're gonna go back to be dry until I come to Vegas. I had like 3 or 4 high noons, nothing too crazy. Just
what flavor?
Grapefruit, always.
I like that.
And so I just hanging out. Again, there was a lot of like craziness there with the Eagles fans. Like I cannot stress that enough. I've been to Raymond James, I don't know, 10 times now in the last few years. Holy cow. It was getting a little rowdy. So I was like, okay, like I can keep my wits about me. Probably stay a little sober, whatever. And so we kept going back and forth at club level, but I was like, all right, I'm not going to drink anymore. And every different area we were in the stadium, because then I even met up with some friends at halftime. Never once were Bucks fans confident that that was going to be the final score.
Really?
There was a point when this is how I knew that we were going to win the game. When the tush push didn't go through. What was that? Like at the end of the first half?
The brotherly shove.
That one. And it was in the opposite end zone of where we were sitting, so I couldn't really see. And then when everybody went nuts and it carried through the stadium, we knew that they got the goal line stop. I was like, oh my God, the Bucks really are going to win this football game. Like that was the defining moment for me. And it still wasn't like the Eagles quit. It just was like, hey, maybe Todd Bowles, who I just completely chastised week 3 about being a defensive head coach, finally got his defense playing really well.
Well, it's that, or maybe the Eagles aren't very good. And I said I happened to watch the game on Monday night with a bunch of members of our team, including Ed Salmons. Ed is a gigantic Eagles homer. He was even wearing.
I did not know that. How did I not know that?
He's a shameless Eagles homer. He was wearing an Eagles sweatshirt. And I asked him.
I would never think a bookmaker should allowed to have fandom like that. Like you can be like, all right, I'm going to cheer, but he's just
Eagles
sweatshirt.
Oh yeah, it was sad. And I asked him around.
How many Redskins sweatshirts do you own? Do you have any just for like collector's items at this point?
I have this Redskins T-shirt that I love.
Okay.
That I hang on to, and then I got some.
Does it still fit you?
Yeah, because they changed names like 3 years ago.
Okay.
Well, the first time.
I didn't know if it was like from high school or something, like when you were like skinny.
What was I saying? Oh yeah. Anyways, it was around that time that you're talking about that I said to Ed, "Do you guys have a backup quarterback?"
You know who the backup quarterback is? Marcus Mariota. I know because he was standing right there in front of me most of the game.
My final thought.
And the lady behind me goes, they need to put in Marcus Mariota. I'm like, you paid this kid all this money. He needs to go down with the ship. Like, you don't put in Marcus Mariota right now.
Hurts was awful. Nick Sirianni, lucky to keep his job.
Did you see the guy behind me? I tweeted out the photo and then they put him on TV. It said fire Sirianni. But the other side, the entire game just said run the damn ball. And then the other side was like, he was ready. He knew what was a potential outcome of that game.
My final thought, better for us to have 2 Monday games. It was better for us. So if Wild Card Weekend is always going to be Martin Luther King Jr. weekend, which is a federal holiday anyway, I think it'd be better if the NFL does it this way. If they have 2
I like that idea.
The only thing they're going to have to do differently, though, is they're going to have to make sure that Monday is always the 2 4 versus 5 games. The Buffalo Bills got screwed. They're the 2 seed, and they get 2 less days rest than the 3 seed. The Bills got completely screwed by this. We'll talk about that when we talk about that game. But I think if they could do it if they have the 4-5 games both on Monday. I heard next year, I don't know if this is true, but somebody said this at a bar Monday night. Next year, that weekend is going to be Thursday, a national semifinal, Friday, the other national semifinal, and then Saturday, Sunday, Monday will be the wild card games.
Because there's going to be 12 teams in the playoff, it's going to be
later.
Oh, wow.
So that weekend.
I haven't even looked at that schedule yet. Wait, so go back. So conference championship weekend is going to be the same.
Yeah, I'm talking about
and then there's going to be 6 games, right?
I don't know.
There's 12 teams, 12-team college football playoff.
4 teams get a bye. There's 4.
Oh, 4 teams get a bye.
So
okay.
There's 4 games that are played, I think, on the home team site.
I knew that.
Site. And then there's bowl games, and then the semifinals, and then the championship.
Wow.
I don't know when the championship is. It would be awesome if they just did it during the bye week before the Super Bowl, because that's a dead weekend for us. I don't know when, but they told me that it's going to be, like I just said, with Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, Monday is the wild card games. But I'd like two wild card games Monday. That'd be my.
Sorry, it is going to be. They have the dates. Okay. The first one is going to be the first round on campus, Friday, December 19th, Saturday, December 20th.
Mm-hmm.
The quarterfinals, December 31st is going to be the Cotton Bowl. January 1st is going to be the Orange Bowl, the Rose Bowl, and the Sugar Bowl. Semifinals is going to be January 8th. That's the Fiesta Bowl. Friday the 9th, that's the Peach Bowl. National Championship, Monday, January 19th, 2026, Miami Gardens, Florida.
Why don't they just do it on the Saturday before the AFC and NFC Championship game? Or, honestly, when they should do it is Sunday of the bye week. And Sunday at like 3:30 our time. I don't know. Whatever. All right. Divisional playoffs. You ready for these? What's your best bet? You've been on fire, kid. Give me your best.
My best bet is super chalky. I'm going to lay it with the bang, bang, Niner gang. How do they say it? I don't know. I'm not a Niners fan. We were laughing about their saying earlier in my friend's group chat. I like the Niners. I don't think this is worth overthinking. I want to give all of the credit in the world to the Packers. I think that they have, for the second half of the season, really turned it up. Basically, since that Vikings game, they have really turned it up and shown that they may be a future contender in the NFC, but this is a San Francisco team that starts fast, keeps their foot on the gas, and I expect that from them this weekend. A lot of people were talking about how Aaron Jones the last 4 or 5 games, right, just been go, over 110 yards on the ground. Yeah, he's not going to get that versus the 49ers defense. I just don't see it. I think they're going to have to open up the passing game even more with Jordan Love. Again, kudos to Jordan Love. I agree with you. He looks like the next, 3 in a row for Packers fans, and I am happy for them. But I think it stops here. Christian McCaffrey versus this defense should have an absolute heyday. I know Joe Barry got to keep his job last week because of those 2 pick sixes. It could be a very long afternoon in San Francisco.
We'll see. I'm going to go the sharp plays I've seen. Really sharp group yesterday laid 9 with Baltimore. So we're to Baltimore 9.5 now, total 43.5. So the public is going to bet these two. They're going to bet Houston money line, and they're going to bet Green Bay money line.
You think so?
No, sir.
Why wouldn't they bet
Because-
Niners money line?
Because they
Baltimore money line 2-1. They have to lay
They-
2-1, but
always bet against the bye teams. They just saw Houston and Green Bay look awesome. That's fresh in their minds. They just saw that. So sharps on Baltimore -9. Another sharp group took the 10 with Green Bay. That knocked us down to 9.5. So we got the same number, same point spread, same money line on both those games. 9.5 plus 375. I think the early game Sunday will be the most lopsided game of the week. I know it will. Detroit is going to get the public support. They already are. We're at 6.5, total 49. One player I respect did take 6.5 with Tampa, but we're still at 6.5, knowing that the public is going to be on that side.
why would they take 6.5 with you when other shops in Vegas have a 7?
Well, this bet was several days ago.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what was out there at the time, but this player is good.
There was a 7 yesterday, and I was like waiting, and I looked at my one option here in Florida. And
it's
I
hard.
said, all right, I'm going to wait.
It's hard for me to say that 49ers to win the NFC isn't a good bet right now. Like the 49ers, you just could not have the weekend go better than it did for San Francisco. They get rid of Dallas. I didn't think Dallas was going to beat them anyway, but Dallas is out. All they've got to do is beat a combination of Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and Detroit at home. I mean, they were already the 1 seed. They probably were going to get in anyway. But if you go back to like October, September, it was San Francisco, Dallas, and Philadelphia in some order. That was the big 3 in the NFC. San Francisco is the only one that made it to the divisional round. They have no excuse. They should get through. The best game of the weekend is definitely the last game. Buffalo versus Kansas. Awesome game. Patrick Mahomes. This is a guy that started the last 5 AFC Championship games. He started 3 Super Bowls. He's won twice in the Super Bowl. He's never played a road playoff game. And he's going to have.
I like the Bills.
He's going to
for what it's worth.
On Sunday night at Buffalo. The weather's going to be crazy. That game is awesome.
It looks like this is what looks really easy to me this weekend, and these are some of the things that I like to buck trends on. Looks really easy to do Baltimore money line with San Francisco money line. It's basically minus $2, which is not something I would ever do. I'm just saying what looks really easy. Yeah. And now it's too late, but it looked really easy earlier in the week to tease Kansas City with Baltimore when Baltimore opened 7.5.
Yeah, I mean, if you could get Baltimore down to 8.5, I would say a 6-point teaser would be with Baltimore and Kansas City would be great. But I liked Texas teaser last weekend. I didn't.
I did too.
I liked Houston in that first game, and Dallas just gets boat raced by Green Bay. Did not see that coming. But I think if you can get Baltimore down under the 9, tease them to Kansas City. I think Kansas City plus 8.5 would be pretty safe. That's a great.
So wait, backtrack. You just said you like the Niners to win the NFC. They're minus $2. Is that implying that they'd be okay? So we know they're 9.5. We know they're 9.5 point favorites over the Packers.
You have to consider the possibility that they'll play Tampa.
Right. So they'd be. So that's what I'm saying. What would they be over Detroit? 6.5.
You've got to see more than that.
You think so? And then how much over the Bucs? The Bucs would be the biggest underdog.
The Bucs would be double digits.
Yeah.
And you've got to consider that a possibility that the Bucs could. I mean, the Bucs could beat Detroit on Sunday.
If Detroit plays in the second half like they did last week, I absolutely agree the Bucs could beat Detroit.
I talked about how great San Francisco's weekend was, but Detroit had the best weekend. They get somehow Dallas loses. So that screw job against the Cowboys, which cost Detroit the 2 seed, ended up costing them nothing because Dallas lost anyway, and now they get to play Tampa Bay, who would be considered worse than Green Bay at this point. Tampa Bay would be considered the worst team left in the playoffs for sure. And Detroit gets them at home. Detroit had the magical weekend, really. They've got no excuses not to get to the NFC Championship game. I think Kansas City's going to win. I think
Oh,
I think they're
you
going to go in there
do?
and win. I think Buffalo got so many guys get hurt on Sunday
Ooh,
or
that's a good point.
Monday, excuse me. And I think that 2 days less rest is a big deal. That's a lot.
It is a lot. And here's the problem. So they get the overtime rule changed, right?
Mhm.
And that I think this looks like an overtime type game. I think this looks like a 24-24, buckle up, get ready for overtime. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people like the under. I do not. The only under I really like is in Detroit. I actually think that the Bucks defense is going to come to play. I could see that being a, I don't know, 17-14 type final. I would not be surprised to see it be an absolute utter snooze fest with that defense. I'm not that impressed with Detroit's offense
Yeah. Well,
as of late.
Well, you shouldn't be based on that second half. But
Well, not only that, but even in Dallas, it wasn't that electric, mid-season offense. Everybody's clicking on all cylinders. It just wasn't.
You could say the Lions were like that in the first half of the Ram game. First half of the Rams.
No, they
game,
definitely were in the first half.
The Lions offensive coordinator was writing his own ticket to any job he wanted at halftime. Second half, not so much, but that'll be an interesting game. I think all four of the games are pretty good. I think a lot of people are interested in seeing C.J. Stroud. I think C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love are potentially going to be two superstar quarterbacks in the future. There's a lot of storylines around the Lions. And then for my money, Allen and Mahomes are the two best players in the league. And they go head-to-head. I mean, I know Jackson and Purdy had great seasons, but I think that they both play on rosters that are way better than Buffalo's and Kansas City's. Now, you could say that Buffalo's and Kansas City's rosters have been depleted because of the contracts they gave those two guys. You'd be right, by the way. But I'm just saying, to me, Allen and Mahomes are the guys. They carry those teams. I think the two best players in the league. I think that game is really awesome.
Did you guys see anything sharp as far as the totals go? Because I know a couple of these came down pretty quickly. Most notably the one in Baltimore. When it hit 43.5 on Wednesday, I was kind of shocked. I figured after the fireworks we saw in Houston, everybody be rushing to bet that over.
Nothing yet. Okay. Well, I will say that's not entirely true. Some sharp money on over on the Green Bay game today.
Yeah, that's the only over that I would consider betting this weekend.
Got some sharp money. This will really be a fun weekend in the NFL. I think I'm excited for the games this week. Do you want to read me the mailbag questions? I'm always excited.
That would require me to have them pulled up. Well, I got everything else open instead. I've got betting accounts open. I've got odd screens open. For some reason,
can I ask
the
you a
unit
mailbag question? Can I ask
what's
you
that?
Can I ask you a mailbag question? Do you know anyone that likes sports betting as much as yourself?
Yeah, of course I do.
Who?
I definitely have friends that like it more than I do.
What? Who? What are their names?
I mean, I'm not gonna. Ariel's not one of them, but I'd say she's up there.
No,
but as far as a female goes, probably not. Chris Thurston definitely likes sports gambling more than I do.
Dude, I just remembered I got to text Steve Thurston back.
Yes, text Steve Thurston back. We got to get ready for the Super Bowl. We need Viva. Put that in the to-do list.
It's on my list. God damn it. All right.
Thank you. Now I can have it shipped to your house.
I still have it in my garage. Question.
You haven't even drank the last shipment?
No, I've drank some of it, but there's still a lot.
Oh, okay, good. None of the grapefruits though, right? Okay, good.
I like elderberry. I like elderberry.
Interesting. Huckleberry is the #1 flavor, and I tell everybody that drinks it they are a child because it tastes like cotton candy.
That doesn't sound like something I would like, to be honest.
21-year-old Kelly would have loved it.
Yeah, that doesn't sound. That wouldn't work for me.
It's fine. I just can't drink them all day. Grapefruit, watermelon, all day long. All right. For some reason, the unit wanted me to bring this up. I'm not going to bring this up because this person doesn't matter. Apparently, there's like a TMZ version of gambling Twitter these days. And somehow he took what I said and manipulated it.
Gambling X. Sorry.
Yes, that. Anyway, I'm not going to give this person any. Wow. I'm just not going to waste my time. They don't deserve any recognition from me other than they're a lifetime loser. So Jamie Guy _ on.
Okay.
Oh, Jamie Guy _ on IG says, what percentage of bettors do you think come out?
You thought on was part of his handle?
The way that it's written, yes.
No, there's a space there. Jamie Guy.
There is a space
_
there, but if the way I looked at it, I was like, wait, never mind. So Jamie Guy _ on Instagram says, what percentage of bettors do you think come out with a profit at the end of the NFL season? Oh my God. Just Jay Cornegay. That's it.
Jay Cornegay. It's look, the truth is it's very small because of people doing so many parlays.
That's one thing I didn't do this year. And I did not have a profitable NFL season, John Murray. But I was trying to explain this to the dorks on there, how math
many
works.
winners this season in the NFL.
Yes, you did, but I didn't produce any of my own.
You were like my baby bird, and I was
my best bets went 10-1. That's not good enough to make money.
10-1?
Or 10-8, sorry. 10-8 in the regular season. That's not good enough to make money. And they've only started making money during the playoffs. Anyway, I was trying to explain on X how if you faded me, you went 40, 43, and 2 against the spread. And you didn't make money either. I didn't make money going 43, 40, and 2. But you going 40, 43, and 2 is actually worse. Imagine having these types of arguments.
Saying X is really funny. It's a very small percentage, Jamie. Next question.
At Dom Steve on Instagram says, Kelly, what do you look for in early college basketball action? So here's my thing. There's a couple of like situations that I like to play. It's been really good. It's 4-0 this last 7 days. I've been betting against ranked teams catching points. So the other night I had Baylor and I had Cincinnati, and both went to overtime or dogs go to die. Do you know how good that feels? I always have the dog in overtime and they always lose and don't cover. It's mind-boggling. So to have
think that that's true, or do you just remember it that way because you're an emotional young woman?
Okay. What? All right. So anyway, I look for certain situations. This year in particular, I was talking about it yesterday on my new Instagram show, Pregame with KIV, that Brian Power and I were discussing how this year home court advantage has seemed to matter, at least up until as of yesterday, more than any other season. So he and I were talking about how we're not looking to take road teams. And then UCF springs the sizable upset over Texas. People do the horns down. They lose their minds and cry about it all over the internet. That was the other thing that was supposed to be on my talking point, but I didn't want to give them any more.
That Texas basketball coach feels like he's in over his head. Can I say that? That guy's in way over.
Enjoy the SEC, Longhorns fans, because you think that you can get that banned in the Big 12. The SEC does not give a fuck.
You know,
you're going to get horns down into oblivion.
Let me ask you.
And the other thing is about this, I'm going to say this.
Please.
If you didn't care so much about the horns down, people would stop doing it.
Yeah, that's true. Because West Virginia fans love to do that. And we don't even, we don't have any history with Texas.
I can't even do it. Yeah, you don't. And listen, everybody's like, oh, you love to hate on Texas. No, you make it so easy.
You do love to hate on Texas, though.
Bullshit, John Murray. I said they were going to be in the 14 college football playoff, and they were. If I hated Texas, I wouldn't have said that. So I'm allowed to have an opinion that I think they're a bunch of crybabies, but also give them some recognition on the football field.
This guy on Instagram, his name's Dom Sieve. Let me ask you a question. We got a guy that works for us named Dom. If you remember him.
Yes.
You tell me who's right or who's in the wrong or who's right here. So we went out Monday. I organized a group of people to go out for the Monday night game, including Dom. But Ed Salmons and Jeff Sherman, they're snobs, they're elitists. So they were sitting in like a VIP area. So I went over to talk to them, and I sat with them for a quarter in like this private area because that's the kind of people they are. And then I left to go out to like the general population. And
you sat in Gen Pop?
Yeah, and Dominic's gone. And I go, where the hell's Dom? And you know, Raina. Obviously, I love Raina. Raina's like, oh, Dominic was mad that you weren't sitting with him after you arranged everything. He left. And so I looked at my watch. I go, it's fucking 6:50. What do you mean he left? He was going out to another bar. 6:50.
With actual friends that probably liked him and wanted to hang out with him. So
I had to pay tribute to the two big shots. Next question.
I guess so. The other thing I like to look over is teams that don't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
Because it is probably been the most aggravating thing. And then the other thing, if I'm betting a short favorite, like I did with Cincinnati the other night, I like teams that can make their free throws. So like tonight, right? It is Thursday. This won't air in time. Tonight, I would love to make a case for Michigan at home against Illinois, but I don't trust this team for an entire, basically an entire game. Said that last week. I took them in the first half versus Ohio State on Monday. Kind of feel the same way tonight. It's just one of those things where if they can get hot from three, they're a chef's kiss of a team. But I don't think Juwan Howard is that good of a coach, and that's the upsetting part.
I want this edited out. You're talking about a game that's going to start before the show's even on that?
No, but I'm using it as an example for Dom on what I'm looking for in college basketball.
Dom Sieve, not Dom Picardo, my guy.
Exactly. John R. Chan on Instagram says, coming to Vegas for the big game. Any pro tips for Allegiant Stadium? Just be happy that it's not August and you're going to a Garth Brooks concert and you have to go across the bridge in 120 degrees while some guy with a microphone is telling you how much God hates you because you're a sinner.
Yeah, I don't have any tips because I always go in our suite.
I knew you were going to say that. And that's why the only time I've been to Allegiant Stadium twice, once with you for the soccer game and once for Garth Brooks. One was a wonderful experience because we got dropped off right out front, whisked away into VIP. Awesome. And the other time was absolute utter hell. Parking was a nightmare. It was terrible. It was expensive. It was hot. And I have never wanted to jump off that overpass between Mandalay Bay and Allegiant Stadium more in my life.
I don't have any advice for the normal people on what to do. Next question. I don't know.
Because they don't allow tailgating there.
I'm not going to the Super Bowl. I'm not going to go.
You're not? You didn't get media credentialed? Oh, that sucks. Joseph the Fourth on IG says, how much volume do you guys do in golf wagers at the SuperBook?
This is a trap question. This guy, he's trapping me into saying not nearly enough to justify the amount of time our guys spend working on golf wagers.
Ooh.
9% of their day is working on golf.
I mean, Jeff Sherman's handle literally is at golf odds.
I didn't say Jeff Sherman's name. I said our guys spend their entire day working on golf.
Isn't he your golf guy?
He's one of like 10 of them. I think
you have 10 golf guys.
That's all our guys do is golf.
So you have 10 golf guys.
I don't know if it's 10. It's a lot.
And okay,
golf.
You have 6 golf guys.
Yeah.
And they spend a significant amount of hours on golf
all day long.
And your handle's not big enough to justify that?
No. It's okay. You're right. Now let's say this. I love golf. Before I came out here to do the show, I was watching the American Express in my office. Golf is great, but it's not football. We write a lot of money on the majors. Next question. Barnes_law on X says, can you explain why the bookies just want even money on both sides is actually a myth? Also, do you think political betting will ever get legalized in America? Well, it'd be easy if you just had all this money on both sides and then you just took the juice, but it doesn't work like that. That would also really limit your profits. We make all of our money on parlays and teasers. All the money is made on stuff like that. And when you have all these parlays going to one game, you're not going to have the same amount of money on both sides. And if you start selling, but I think the myth is that that's why the line moves, right? So like if you're sitting at 6 and you're wanting more money on the dog, you move it to 6.5 to make your number more enticing than the books around town. We do that sometimes with Sunday Night Football. We'll grade the 125 games. We'll see how much money we lose on the last game, and we'll move our number up just to sell off some of the liability. But in the long run, but it's not to try to get even money on both sides. No, it's just to sell off some of your liability. But in the long run, you shouldn't even do that. You shouldn't even do that because the book is going to win more often than it loses. So yeah, because you take 10%. Of course. I literally just did a video for the unit on this. I should have worn my glasses and got out my chalkboard so I could be like, "Hi, what is wrong with you guys?" But nobody's taking advantage of your minus 105 sides or 10-cent lines. If you have something where you're going to win more than you lose, every time you sell off, you eat into your long-term profits. you make your day number look a little bit more something you can stomach a little bit easier. But all you're doing by selling off to smart players is eating into your long-term profits. Sometimes you don't have a choice. Do I think political betting will get legalized in America? Probably. Yeah, I do. But yeah, someday, right? I mean,
it'd be cool because I got limited to $200.
Well, you know that I
the other day, so that was super fun.
I don't think you should be betting what you're betting on. I don't think they'll ever let that happen. I've told you that.
You don't know what I bet on. I moved an entire market in Canada, and then the offshores followed.
Well, that sounds super illegal. Next question.
It's not illegal. I asked Uncle Ben to place a wager on the woman that might possibly be the next president of the United States. And then now all of a sudden, all these articles are coming out how she's going to run. I'm just saying, and I'm never going to make all the money back I lost in 2020. Let's not even get into that. Okay, next question.
Please.
Heard First on X says, what big underdog, Texans, Packers, Bucks wins outright? I think it's the Bucks.
Well,
I think the Bucks are going to win outright. I'm sorry.
I think if I had to pick one of those three, I'd probably take the Bucks. But that's cheating because the other two are much bigger underdogs.
It's not cheating. I just think so the ceiling for the Bucks is probably 24 points, right? Offensively, that would be I think that's their ceiling. Defensively, I love taking the better defense plus the points here. I did not like how I made the game 4.5. And when I text you, we're going to open 6 and then immediately went 6.5. And then we started seeing 7s. So I ended up a little gun shy on the Bucks.
Detroit has an extra day.
Correct.
So keep those things in mind.
But I could easily see this being a much low scoring game. Whereas we're talking about Green Bay and San Fran getting in a shootout.
Yeah.
That usually doesn't bode well for the underdog.
No.
So I think it all determines on how you see the game going. The Ravens still not a great second half team. So I'm going to be keeping an eye out on that one. I may have a Texans second half wager. We shall see. At Mooney, Party of 4 on X says, I wonder if the younger gamblers know the old 1-800 tout hotlines. Do those still exist and the funny old stories involving those?
Remember the Simpsons episode when Homer was betting on football and he would call the tout line and the guy would talk really slow and he'd be like, come on, don't you know this phone call is costing me money?
You want some of this, don't you?
Yeah!
Well, you need to know the winners, and I know the winners. So call me now. Whoa! $5 for the first minute, $2 for each additional minute. You have reached the coach's hot
line.
Yeah,
lay it on me, coach.
In the game of Miami versus
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
Come on. Don't you realize this is costing me money?
We must consider many things. The wind.
Oh, not the wind.
Is blowing out of the west.
Oh.
At 5
miles per hour.
Knots.
Oh, this is ridiculous. What am I supposed to do?
Because it was a 1-900 number.
That's my favorite.
My buddy Joe still gets texts and he forwards them because you know how easy it is from like tout services that used to be 1-900 numbers that are now text services. It's like, click this link to get my 10 unit bomb, blah, blah, blah. And like he always forwards it to the group. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I think it's insane that I'm still getting these texts and these phone calls 20 years later, because when I was in high school, I was calling the 1-900 number, like trying to, get down some action.
Like, did you see that thing where Jason Whitlock showed like the headline on whatever website he was on was like a link to porn?
Oh my God.
And he tweeted about it. And it's like, yeah, that's because you obviously look at porn. Do you think that it's really funny? Do you think that maybe that says something about your friend that he's still getting messages from these things like 20 years later? I mean,
I think he's had the same phone number since high school. So they because here's what they do. They all sell your information to each other. They're like, oh, this guy buys picks, sell off your information.
Yeah. I don't know. The first bookie I ever bet with, it was an 800 number, and you just listen in and they would tell you the lines for every game. But, I was so green. I didn't even know about like line moves. And, just to me at that time, it was like, okay, that's the line. Didn't know any better, but it wasn't a tout line.
No, I'll never forget sitting sitting in the Westgate. It was called the Hilton. And my buddy Jeff we were looking at the board, and there was Don Best, but you had to pay for it. There was no free version of Don Best.
Mhm.
And it was actually before I even worked for them, before I actually even had a Don Best. But either he wasn't going to pay for it, didn't know about it. And he was on scoresandodds.com. And his bookie used whatever the middle line was. Like, I guess they must have averaged it out based on what they were getting. And so you guys had like minus 9.5, so plus 9.5. And so he got a 10. So he's like, calls this and leaves a message. This is like 2012, 2011. Leaves a message on his bookie's answering machine in 2011. It's like, and you have a code name, and he's like, hey, this is, I don't know, horse or some shit, pig. I don't know. He just makes up like whatever, but everybody had their own name, right? I guess in case the answer machine ever got taken. And he's like, I need 2 dimes, Cleveland plus 10. And it's like, did that guy go back? Did that bookie go back? And it's like, all right, Jeff called at 2:33 Eastern time. Let me look at the line history.
Well, that's not how people did it in 2011, but that is how people did it. Like when I first started betting in like 2000, 2001-ish. Yeah, that's exactly.
You think sports betting? I've only been sports betting for like 15 years. You've been sports betting for like 30 years.
I don't know if you know how far ago 2001 was. That was the year I graduated.
It would be 22 years ago.
That was the year I graduated high school. Next question. Go ahead. A lot of questions.
I know. At 5, Kevin Boss on X said, what is John Murray's UFC prediction for the weekend? Any sharp action on the fights?
We had some really sharp action on 297, but the fight got canceled or pushed or something. We don't really have much to say about this card. I know the main event getting a lot of attention. I don't know. I don't know. That's a toss-up fight. That's a bad answer. I'm sorry, Kevin. I met Kevin at UFC 296. I know it's a bad answer.
Did you?
Yeah, we had a beer together. Me, him, and Cam.
Oh, good. You bought him a beer, or did you make him buy you a beer? That's rude.
He bought me a beer, so I insisted on buying.
Why would you? You cannot let these.
I bought him one back.
Oh, okay, good. You did?
Yeah, of course.
I'm gonna DM him and ask him. Make sure.
Go ahead and DM. Go to the next question.
Okay. At Vincent PGH on X says, I've heard Mr. Murray talk about how the money line parlays are very popular in the NFL. How popular are parlays that involve multiple sports, and which sports do they pick?
They're very popular. They everything. So I'd say the most popular sport where you write tons of parlays versus straight bets is soccer. They parlay all the big soccer favorites together. They parlay all the big UFC favorites together.
Yeah, but so like, for example, what I think he's meaning is it's Saturday college football. Do they have 2 or 3 money lines from there, plus a couple on Sunday, and then the Monday night game?
No,
I think he's wondering if they like intermix sports.
You get some of that, but it's more like Saturday college football going to the big favorites in the UFC fight Saturday night, because most people don't have the patience to wait till Sunday. So it's mostly like the big favorites of whatever's going on that day.
So they don't have the patience to wait until Sunday.
That
is crazy.
Maybe they don't have the bank.
That too. At 3Jack H3131 on X said, for Kelly, what positions do you have on NCAA men's basketball winners to make the Final Four? For John, what's the next Bitcoin? I have 0 futures bets.
Really?
0.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that because I've been so bad. I've been so bad this year. I'm so ashamed of myself. I love college basketball, and I haven't really followed it at all. And even
all? Well, I mean, I've been following it, but not.
And then
not from a futures perspective. I think this year's a lot more wide open.
Everybody says that every year.
No, I actually meant it. Like when I started doing my work, I thought, okay, like Houston, okay? Houston looked great last night. They still have 2 losses in the Big 12. The Big 12 is a gauntlet, John Murray. These teams are going to murder each other. They're going to be limping into the big dance. And I don't know if I'm telling you, this is going to be I bet the next 2 months for Big 12 teams is going to be crazy. What would you say? I think 10, there's 14 teams in the Big 12 for what it's worth. I think 10 of those teams can get in.
I don't know.
At 64?
I was so embarrassed the other night. You texted me. You're like, oh, you said something like fuck you or something. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, Kansas State beat West Virginia.
We beat your team's ass. That's
I didn't
why.
watch it. Georgetown.
I said, fuck off, John Murray. Sorry for your loss. That's
so
what
sweet.
I said.
I'm so glad I'm in that group chat. Georgetown, you know how much I love Georgetown. They suck. And I don't really have much in the way of future, so I got to get into it. I'm ready to get into it. I love college basketball. Every year, everybody tells me how wide open it is. Of course it's wide open. It's a 68-team tournament that's a one game, best of one. Yeah, it's wide open.
I didn't mean that. I just meant as far as a futures perspective. And again, some of these teams have a much harder road than others. The Blue Bloods outside of Connecticut might be the one team that I could see going very deep again. Arizona stumbled a few times. Purdue, after that loss to Nebraska, I was like, okay, maybe they're not it. Tennessee just throttled Florida. I know because I had Florida plus 10. Woof. K-State is like so exciting for me to watch, but it's on ESPN Plus. So like 90% of the game, I don't even get to watch.
You got to get one of those Fire Sticks so you can watch everything.
I have a Fire Stick. I just got to figure out how to actually like use it.
Oh, it's so easy. It's the easiest. What's the next?
Yeah, but the quality's not that good. We used it in Vegas, and I just never set it up here.
No. When you're here, I'll show you mine. It's great. Quality.
Just give me a new one.
The next Bitcoin, you don't need the next Bitcoin, Jack, because Bitcoin's back down. It's almost like 40,000 now. It's buy more Bitcoin. There's no next Bitcoin. Buy more Bitcoin.
I think it's Ethereum. I think you want to be buying Ethereum.
Well, I have both. And I'll tell you what, our editors have their work cut out for them because this show is too long.
It's very long, and there's a lot of F-bombs, and your phone crashed again.
Yeah,
but you know what? Here, I have some notes. Kelly and Murray, we love that it's on Thursdays because you get more views. We need to hammer best bets, sharp action, and the word predictions. Do you hear that, YouTube? There's a lot of predictions, including that John Harbaugh is going to stay at Michigan in this episode.
Where are these notes from?
This is from the WagerTalk sales call on Monday about how much better our show is on Thursdays instead of Wednesdays.
Thursday is better, but I got to talk to you. I might have to move the show next Thursday because I got a casino P&L meeting at this exact time. So let's talk. After the show. Our listeners don't care about my boring meeting schedule. I don't.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. I'll talk to you next week.